Playing with the Rolling Stones has been 5 years of playing and 20 years of hanging around. When the late, great Charlie Watts delivered that line, he was talking about the glamorous world of rock and roll. But he could just as well have been talking about a standard Tuesday on a British construction or demolition site. Because ours is an industry frozen in time. We are a collection of highly skilled but very expensive statues, perpetually waiting for someone, somewhere, to sign a piece of paper, move a vehicle, or answer a phone so that we can finally get on with our jobs. We're told from our very first day in this business that time is money, yet we spend half our working lives burning through both. The sheer volume of hours flushed down the site toilet every single week through systemic, institutionalized inefficiency is staggering. We have become masters of the art of waiting. The pantomime begins long before a single excavator track touches the mud or a single structure is surveyed for demolition. Contractors are forced to submit tenders by an absolute non-negotiable deadline. If your digital submission is 5 minutes late, you're out of the race. No excuses, no second chances. The client demands absolute punctuality and precision from the outset. But should your bid actually prove successful, see, now the shoe is firmly on the other foot and it's now your turn to wait. Suddenly, the urgency vanishes. You'll wait months, sometimes years, for planning approval from a local authority for whom speed is a dirty word. You'll wait for the green light from clients who want the project finished yesterday, but can't seem to decide on basic design criteria today. You'll wait for environmental regulators to sign off on mitigation strategies that everyone in the room knows are just bureaucratic box-ticking exercises designed to shield the hierarchy from accountability. You are raring to go. The plant is booked, the men are allocated, but you sit in limbo because a nameless, faceless entity hasn't checked a box. When you finally receive permission to actually turn up, the waiting just relocates. To beat the inevitable soul-crushing gridlock on our crumbling British road network, you leave home at 5 a.m. You battle through the darkness, navigating endless road closures, just to ensure that you arrive on site early. But if that site happens to be in a tight urban environment, the reward for your punctuality is just sitting in your van for an hour, shivering and nursing a lukewarm flask of tea. Why? Because heaven forbid a diesel engine should turn over or a tailgate should rattle before the clock strikes precisely 8. You wait for those noise restrictions to lift, losing the freshest hours of the day to the local noise abatement order. Once the gates do finally swing open, the daily choreography of inertia begins in earnest. Before anyone is permitted to lift a shovel or start an engine, the entire workforce must assemble for the mandatory daily toolbox talk or pre-start briefing. Here, grown adults who have successfully survived decades in a hazardous industry are forced to sit through a patronizing lecture on the dangers of gravity, or a generic slideshow detailing exactly how to hold a broom. You wait through the meeting, nodding politely, watching the clock tick away the profitable hours of the morning while the paperwork is signed off to prove to the insurance company that we've been told not to fall over. Then, at long last, we get to the actual work, or more accurately, the lack thereof. The modern British demolition or construction site is a masterclass in disjointed logistics. Watch any job for an hour and you'll see the domino effect of delays. The excavator operator sits in his climate-controlled cab, radio blaring, waiting for a truck to arrive. That truck is currently waiting for a dozer to clear a path through the poorly maintained site haul road. The dozer is waiting for a new air filter. Meanwhile, over in the recycling zone, the mobile crusher stands completely idle, waiting for material to process. And the second it does get fed, it has to stop again to wait for a loading shovel to tidy up around its tracks. Everyone is waiting for someone else. You're constantly waiting for a subcontractor from a completely different firm to finish their specific bit of the jigsaw and get their equipment out of the bloody way. You wait for fuel deliveries that were promised at dawn but arrive at dusk. You wait for plant hire companies to send the correct hydraulic attachment because the delivery driver brought a quick hitch that doesn't match the machine. And of course, you wait for the British weather to decide whether it wants to rain, snow, or melt the tarmac while you stand under a makeshift shelter debating the forecast. The individual workers are caught in this bureaucratic trap just as tightly as the businesses. Highly skilled veteran plant operators are forced to sit at home on the sofa waiting for the postman to deliver a renewed competence card. They're legally barred from entering a site because a piece of plastic hasn't arrived in the mail, despite holding 40 years of unblemished operational experience. The system values the card over the competence, and so they wait. But perhaps the biggest joke of all is saved for the grand finale. Once you've survived the initial delays, navigated the mountain of red tape, managed the logistical nightmare of the site itself, and actually managed to hand over a completed project, you enter the final and most painful waiting room of them all, the payment cycle. This is where the bottleneck of delays is at its most severe. Everyone from the tier one contractor down to the independent specialist tradesman is expected to play a rigged game of financial hide and seek. You're forced to wait 60, 90, or even 120 days for invoices to be settled. You have to beg, plead, cajole, and chase account departments for money that you earned months ago, long after the dust has settled on the site and the client is already enjoying the fruits of your labours. You're expected to fund the project up front, but when it comes to reimbursement, the corporate machinery grinds to a halt. We possess the finest machinery on the planet, the most sophisticated engineering technology available, and a workforce filled with genuine grit and know-how. We have the capability to reshape our city skylines and demolish the old to make way for the new with astonishing speed. Yet, as an industry, we spend half our lives stuck in first gear, idling away our potential. All of which begs the question, why are we waiting?